Hey everybody, my name is Phillip Shepard. I'm a local real estate agent located right here in Northwest Arkansas. And today we're talking about everyone's favorite subject, taxes. Oh God, we're talking about taxes, the glorious taxes. We're covering property taxes, we're covering income taxes, we're covering personal property taxes. What is that? And we're talking about sales taxes, well, all in the state of Arkansas, but specifically about Northwest Arkansas. So, let's talk about that. But before we begin, if you could like and share this video with a friend or family, that would make the world a difference. I try to produce as much content as humanly possible about Northwest Arkansas, obviously. So liking and also sharing, make sure that everyone can live, work, and play all in NWA. So thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Also, if you are coming down to Northwest Arkansas, definitely let me know. Let me put you on the calendar. Let's meet up for coffee. Let's meet up to get a little bit of a tour time. Let me talk about why I chose Northwest Arkansas out of anywhere else in America to move to. Out of anywhere. But if you haven't been down to Northwest Arkansas quite yet, I made something called the NWA Starter Pack. Sounds exactly what it is. It's literally a starter pack full of all the cool things Northwest Arkansas. What's going on downtown Bentonville? What are the schools like? What are the hospitals like? What are all the things happening here that you need to know about Northwest Arkansas? Package, ship right to your home, right to your home. Enter your name below, enter your address below. Where am I shipping this package to? Where can I ship this package to right away? I'll make sure they get the package shipped to you, like I said, right away. Also, side note, it does come with your first free mountain bike, so that's pretty cool. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. It is my favorite four-letter F word. Free! So enter your information below and make sure they get the package shipped to you right away. All right, so without further ado, let's cover one of my favorite subjects of all time. We're talking about taxes in Arkansas, but also specifically Northwest Arkansas. Specifically. We're going to break this video up into a couple different categories. The first part, we're going to talk about property tax. The second part, we're going to talk about income tax. The third part, we're actually talking about personal property tax. That might be new for a lot of states out there because it's kind of unique. And the last thing, we're going to talk about sales tax. So without further ado, let's talk about one of the most riveting, exciting things ever, taxes. But in all seriousness, obviously when you're maybe potentially moving to a different state, taxes are a big deal. Like, what does it look like? What does it mean? And we're breaking all those different things down in this video. All right, so we're going to cover property tax first. And you'll probably see me look at my screen over here just because I want to make sure the information is real accurate. But so see me looking down over here occasionally. But let's talk about property tax first. All right, so just to clarify some things quickly into the property tax. The northern part of NWA is actually in Benton County, and the southern part of NWA is actually in Washington County. Bentonville resides, and a lot of other cities reside in Benton County, and then also Washington is Fayetteville. So those are two kind of like dividing points right there. So let's talk about some of the percentages for property taxes. So the first thing we're gonna do is talk about percentages of taxes in the area. Now, both of them are very similar, so we're gonna kind of combine them together so you can kind of get an idea. So Benton County property tax specifically is 0.77% of your assessed value. And then Washington County is 0.71% of your assessed value. So you're probably thinking like, what does that mean if I buy, let's say, a $400,000 house? So if you were to buy a $400,000 house in Bentonville, Arkansas at a 0.77 rate-ish, your property taxes are going to be actually $2,900 roughly. So $400,000 is going to be $400,000 valued home is going to be about $2,900 ideally. Now, the interesting thing that happened the last couple of years is obviously property values have gone up quite a bit. Now, I would consider obviously as a real estate agent, they are plateauing, and there's not going to be a major jump anytime soon, at least that I can foresee. Property values are continuing always creeping up around here because of influx of people and just the area, and also just inflation around America. So even regardless of all the property values that have gone up in Northwest Arkansas, over and time again with articles everywhere is that says that, and of course they're right, is that Northwest Arkansas is still a highly, like one of the top 10 most affordable places to live in America. So it's one of those things that if you are going to be moving here based on, very affordable housing, it still exists here for sure. So you can definitely find homes anywhere between $300,000 to $350,000, and that's still way below, obviously, the national average of a home price in America. Now, in Benton County, again, if you are looking to purchase a home and looking at property value taxes, $2,900 for a $400,000 home. But one thing that's unique about Arkansas is that every homeowner gets basically a homestead exemption of about $400 per year. So really that $2,900 gets knocked down to obviously $2,500. Now it doesn't, that homestead exemption doesn't carry over to investment property. That's where that kind of comes into play there. Not every state has this. I actually had this in Illinois, so it wasn't like a big shocker for me, but other states have this as well, but it's still kind of unique animal across America. So now you're probably thinking that may not mean a lot to you, whether like a 0.77 or 0.71, but let's look at a couple other states as well and other specific cities. So if you're looking to move to Boulder, Colorado, Benton County is 0.77 of the assessed property value. You're actually paying 1.39 in Boulder, Colorado. If you're going to move to Cook County, which is majority of Chicago, which is my sadly home area, hometown, no longer home, the place I came from. Cook County is 2.19. My God. Las Vegas is interesting. It's actually 0.65, but obviously Vegas homes are a lot more expensive there. We know that, of course. Phoenix, Arizona, it just varies a little bit because it varies based on where you are located in Phoenix. Because I guess my understanding from clients that have told me from Phoenix, all of it's not summarized in one tax bill. There's multiple different schools and fire departments, police. So it depends on where you live. And so it's kind of a accumulating thing, but they average between like 5 to 11% depending where it is. So that's a steep property tax to say the least. Dallas is 2.5. So that's kind of gives you an idea of just like where Bentonville and also Washington County, so Benton County and also Washington County fall into the mix of just like 0.77 to like Boulder, Chicago, Las Vegas, Phoenix. The only comparable one, honestly, is like Las Vegas is a little cheaper, but obviously home values are a little bit wild there. Long story short, it is very interesting to have still a low property tax rate in comparison to all of America. One other cool thing when it comes to property taxes here in Arkansas, and I know not every other state does this, but we do have a property tax freeze for senior citizens or people in the more senior ages. So just know that if you are moving here and you're looking for that senior exemption for your freeze, it does exist here and it does happen, so you're good there. And also Arkansas does have some tax freezes based on like disabilities and things of that nature. You might have to actually like write in and like maybe argue a case, for instance, but they do have those on the books as well for people that have more of those ailments or disabilities on the books. So you can probably do that as well in Arkansas as well. All right, so let's jump over to income tax now when it comes to Arkansas. So if you're moving here from obviously a different state, you might have a different tax rate when it comes to obviously income tax. So the income tax generally for Arkansas is either between 2% or between 2 or 4.7%. Now, sidebar about this. Over the course of years and previous governorship, they have slowly been able to knock down the tax rate when it comes to Arkansas. Arkansas had I would consider a higher tax rate many years ago, but they slowly knocked it down. And that's because that Arkansas oftentimes the last couple of years has had a surplus of money. Usually like the last couple of years, like I think 2 years ago was $1 billion. Last year was like $750 million or something like that. But they're always having a surplus of cash, and they're taking that cash and actually putting it into the budget to not buy down, but essentially remove and continue to lower the rate of income tax in Arkansas. Now, this is where I'm going to do a little bit of a rant. Work with me here for a little bit. But the newest governor of Arkansas has one of her pitches of getting into the actual governor seat was to bring Arkansas to a zero income rate state, I guess you want to call it. So similar to Texas, similar to Florida, similar to Tennessee. I think it would be good. I just don't always think, and this is my personal opinion, I could be totally wrong, but it seems like the states that have low or no income tax always find ways of making money in other ways, whether it's through sometimes property taxes or sometimes sales tax or levies, or sometimes they do like highway or tollways. Sometimes it's Illinois and they do it all. Why not? Because it's Illinois. I don't mind. I don't really necessarily want to live in a state that has zero income tax, because like the states that have zero income tax seem to sometimes be a little bit of a pickle, evidently, with their budgetary stuff. I'll leave it at that. So maybe Arkansas will get to a zero income state. I don't know. Long story short, they're at the current rate, we are 2 to 4.7. So usually when you get to the 4.7, it obviously tiers higher. So usually you have to be like around the $80,000 rate of obviously income to start qualify for that. And then that's kind of where it caps out right around there. So Colorado has a flat rate of 4.4. California, this is an unfair example, so just take it for a grain of salt, is anywhere between 1.1 to 12.3. And then if you up plus a certain amount of money, it's another percent after that. So it's basically a lot of money in California. Everyone's aware of that. Idaho is a flat rate of 5.8. So again, Arkansas is 2 to 4.7. It just tiers up from there. The highest you can do is 4.7. I know that they're trying to lower it, obviously, every single year. Idaho is 5.8 flat rate. Kentucky is a flat rate of 6. South Carolina can vary between 0% to 7%. Illinois is almost a 5% flat rate. And then obviously there's a couple states out there that have that no income state as all. Maybe Arkansas will get there. I'm not sure. We'll see how that goes. But one thing is I do know, because Texas has a lot of sometimes issues going on. Florida has a lot of issues going on when it comes to like hurricanes, and Texas has other heat issues and freezing issues and problems. Whereas like Arkansas and Tennessee are probably the best states for 0% income states, because like we're kind of insular. There's not a lot of natural disasters potentially. So we kind of like, they can grow from there and do a bunch of things. So long story short, at the moment, Arkansas is leaning towards a 0% income tax, but we will see if we get there. One thing I do want to mention is that Arkansas has usually more write-offs when it comes to the state income tax. Like you can write off a lot more college stuff. You can write off a lot more childcare stuff. You can write off a lot more stuff that isn't normal in a state income tax. So when you actually get your income tax statement to do your taxes, there's a lot more things you can write off versus other states, which I do appreciate. I don't have any of those things, but for instance, like something to consider as well is like there are more write-offs in Arkansas when it comes to that sort of things versus a standard normal state. Whoa. Before we jump on to the next point, I have something brand new called Instant Home Updates. So maybe you're looking to move to the area and you're using things like Realtor.com, Zillow.com, or Redfin. Way too slow. Notifications? Way too slow. That's why I made something called Instant Home Updates. It sounds exactly what it is. Instant Home Updates. So enter your name below, enter your information below, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. Where do you want to move to Northwest Arkansas? Where do you want to end up in Northwest Arkansas? Enter all that information below. I'll make sure you don't miss a single notification when it comes for homes for sale or for rent, all in Northwest Arkansas. Also, side note, every single Friday I send an email out just kind of talking about all the cool things in Northwest Arkansas. What's going on downtown Bentonville? What's going on downtown Fayetteville? When is First Fridays? When is First Thursdays? That is a little bit obvious. What is going on downtown Rogers? Who's coming to the Walmart Amphitheater? What's going on over at Topgolf? What's going on over at Pinnacle Hills? There's what new businesses are moving here. There's so much going on all the time. All the time. Enter your name below. Enter your email below. I make sure you get that email every single Friday. But side note again, you will get a little fear of missing out, little FOMO, so to speak. But I promise you will be the most informed person eventually when you make your way down to Northwest Arkansas. All right, so let's jump into the most confusing tax system ever known that I've ever seen. So I'm going to do my best job of trying to explain personal property tax in Arkansas. So let's have a little bit of a education here for a minute. Usually in most states, we go to the DMV and we get stickers for our car. Great, normal, perfect. In Arkansas, it's a little different. We do get stickers, of course, that's usual, but we have to pay. The stickers are based on the value of the assessed value of the actual property itself. Now, this is all wrapped up into homeownership, like meaning you own a house, and also personal property tax. Two separate things, but one thing at the same time. So your stickers, your registration is so cheap. It's like $16 to get a sticker here in Arkansas. It's so ridiculously cheap. What they're going to bill you on is the assessed value. Now you're thinking like, oh my gosh, how is this even like my vehicles are worth this much money? Let me just kind of, if you want a TDLR, like didn't listen to too long, didn't read. Every $100,000 of value, you pay $1,000 of basically $1,000 for registration fees. Now, here's the kicker. They only take 20% of the market value. There's a long, annoying, very weird calculation that I've tried to learn. Let me tell you how it is. Okay, I have 3 vehicles. I have a 2019 Kia Niro hybrid that is valued basically on the Kelley Blue Book for like $25,000, maybe a little bit less than that. And I have a small little Chevrolet truck that is from like 2015. It's worthless almost for the most part, and it's worth like $1,000 here because it's like rusted out from Illinois. You never see rusted vehicles here, so I can never sell it because who's gonna buy a rusted truck? Anyways, moving on. And I have a 2006 Mitsubishi Evolution 9, and so those 3 vehicles cost me $350 for registration fees. Now, here's where it gets weird. They're assessed, so let's say you have $100,000 of vehicles. You would in theory pay $1,000 of registration fees, but you don't. Do you actually pay like a 20% value of that? So, and then it's all wrapped up into your property taxes, which then you get a homestead credit. Long story short, it's very cheap to own expensive vehicles here. First of all, I see 100,000 vehicles around here, like trucks, all the time. Because the first thing I thought about was like, okay, if everything's based on like property value, if my thinking is like, okay, everything is based on the value of the vehicle, and you get an $80,000 to $100,000 commercial truck, whatever the case is, that's a lot of money. It's like $1,000. But that's not the case. You only pay like $200 of that. But even the kicker is their assessed value. I don't know where they pull it from. It's, first of all, it's only 20%, and I don't know where they pull their value from because it's not Kelley Blue Book. So they say market value, don't know where it comes from. They have their sources, of course, but I've always noticed that over time and time again that everyone has moved here from almost any other state has said it's incredibly cheap and easy, super easy to go into the DMV, say, here's my vehicles, here's my titles, here's my stuff. They say, oh, it's gonna cost you $250. You go, excuse me? Because that is nothing coming from Illinois. That is nothing coming from California. That is nothing coming from Phoenix, Arizona. So all I know is that it's incredibly cheap. And on paper, sometimes you get nervous because you're like, okay, like what am I paying for? Like my assessed value, blah, 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 blah. It's very cheap. So long story short, people have a lot of expensive vehicles here because it's incredibly cheap to plate them, to register them, to tag them, the whole thing. So property taxes, this maybe give you again my clarification. I have 3 vehicles and they're assessed maybe like around $50,000 total in theory. And I pay $350, maybe a little bit less per year to tag them. I'm gonna put links below, and if you want to do the calculator, go to town. But my gosh, it's a good time. If you're a math person, or if you really like diving into some fun math, this is definitely for you. And the last thing we need to talk about, this will be a lot more simpler, less simpler than the property tax, is the actual like sales tax in Northwest Arkansas. Now, Arkansas is like a 6.5 tax in general, and then cities are allowed to tack on certain things here and there. Benton and Washington County sit around like a 9.5, and Fayetteville I think is a 9.7. So Fayetteville's like Washington's a little higher. Fayetteville sits at 9.7 and Bentonville sits at 9.5. You're probably thinking like that's really expensive, and yes, I completely agree. Illinois is a little higher, especially when you get to Chicago. It's like 11%, but that's Chicago. It's like, well, of course it's going to be. And in the outskirts, it's set around like an 8 or 9% as well. So it wasn't much of a difference for me when it came to sales tax moving here, because like it was kind of equal. Now gas here is stupid cheap in comparison to a lot of other places. Long story short, it's kind of a wash when it comes to sales tax here. It actually might be a little more expensive from where you're coming from. But one of the things that I factored into all of this is that I don't mind paying taxes. Obviously, we all should, because there's things here and there that we pay for, that roads and schools and stuff. When I see cities misuse taxes over and over and over again, and they just do stupid stuff all the time, you get annoyed. You're like, what am I paying for? Countless years of Illinois saying like, what am I paying for all these silly property taxes and sales taxes and tollways? Where does it go? We all know where it goes. I don't need to say it, obvious reasons. But long story short, here in Arkansas, at least specifically Northwest Arkansas, amazing schools, amazing trail systems, amazing things to do downtown. They're building things, they're doing things, they're encouraging businesses to move here. They're giving incentives. They're using tax dollars wisely, because there's not many places in America that you can truly live, work, and play. And live here and do all the things. Whereas like in other places of America, you might have some things here, some things there, blah, blah, blah. The roads here, I consider fantastic coming from Illinois. And so like, it's one of those things where you start seeing like, oh, I see where the money's going. I see when they build new schools. I see when they build amazing libraries. I see when they build brand new trail systems. I see when they've actually put overpasses over, new entry and off points. I see, like, you see all these things, you're like, oh, I see where it goes all the time, and I'm okay with it. And so one of those things to consider as well is, what is the area doing to use your taxes wisely? And if you feel like it's a good use of money, then great. And so far, since I've been living here for the last like 3 years now, I've seen nothing but good done well with my tax dollars and been put into good use, honestly. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, if you are thinking about coming down to Northwest Arkansas, download my 3-day itinerary link below. Maybe you're a adventurer, maybe you're a sports person, maybe you're a foodie, maybe you're a sightseer, maybe you have kids, whatever it is. Whatever it is, there's a 3-day itinerary link down below for you. So go ahead and download it, use it to get down here. Also, when you do come down here, I can give you the $10 tour so I can kind of show you around the whole area. Plus, we can check out some homes for sale or for rent and see how far your dollar will go in Northwest Arkansas compared to where you're coming from. All right, guys, let's see you next one.